When one of the world's best investors starts talking about climate change, it's almost impossible not to care. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So Warren Buffett is one of the world's best investors. He's been investing, he's 94 years old, is one of the world's wealthiest men, and has one of the best investment track records. And so typically, he hasn't cared much about climate risk. He hasn't really talked about it very much. He doesn't talk about ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance. And he hasn't really thought about how it impacts his investments. He even went as far to some that say that some ESG mandatory reporting is asinine. But in his latest letter, he writes an annual letter every year that talks about his investments and kind of summarizes the year. He talks about climate change. He talks about truly astounding climate risk when it comes to insurance costs. So 2024 was a rough year for climate change. There was a lot going on, and a lot of insurance companies had to pay out a lot of money based on climate change and climate risks and the risk that they took about climate change. So he's talking about these truly staggering losses when it comes to climate change and that he can't ignore it anymore. So, this is a big shift in how Warren Buffett has been talking about climate change and understanding how it impacts his investments. He even is going as far to say that maybe this is climate change announcing itself. In 2024. And that's an interesting way of putting it because we've known climate change is happening for a long time, but it's finally starting to show its financial impacts on the business world, which means a lot. People really care about the world economy. And so it'll be interesting to see how this shifts other investors in their thinking. So Warren Buffett is highly, highly visible in the investment world and very well respected. And so when he says something, people listen. So the fact that he's talking about climate change now and climate risk is very significant. So what do you think? Do you think we'll hear about it more from investment firms, or do you think we'll continue to hear them pull back on their ESG commitments?